What's up, YouTube? And cheers. This is one of my favorite beers, by the way. It's from my home state. Turned out some lady, she was doing this. I can't describe it without YouTube demonetizing the video. I can't say anything. Don't ever monetize your channel. It's just a waste of time. She was doing stuff like this, and it turned out at some point, Hollywood, New York people got involved. They charged more, and she was charging like $15, $20 a beer. And the government was like, don't do it anymore. And she ended up getting by somehow. I don't know. Something to do with, she called it like a Bauder. She made it seem like there was some kind of show going. I guess she was the show. Anyway, today we're talking about fixed blades, these three in particular. Two of which are made in America. One, I don't think it was. However, this is going to be kind of a long one. It's just that I think that there needs to be a little bit more thought going into the purchase of an EDC fixed blade or a fixed blade you plan on carrying a lot, more than what I see going on. And I get, look, if you I'm not trying to get into any brands. I'm not trying to start any beef with the people in the audience that love Bark River knives, for instance. I don't own one. Maybe someday. Maybe I will literally buy all of them. Probably not. But I do want to. I'll get one eventually, I'm sure. Here's the thing. So you're going to need some kind of a system that holds it. This is going to be kind of a retention versus mobility, just out of necessity type of equation. For instance, this guy pops out pretty easily. Much more easily than this guy. So, I mean, does it even have an audible click anymore going in? Kind of. I like this knife a lot. I carry this knife a lot. But if it didn't secure real nice and tight on my belt for appendix carry, I think this would end up on the floor more often than not. But as it is, it works really well. This is from a gentleman who's been on the channel, and I think it was something Valley Knives. I forget now because I didn't look it up before I started this video, because I have real life and I don't have a set designer. I don't have somebody writing these scripts. I literally do this while I drink beer and feed myself after I work, because I work for a living. Anyway, I'll link below, and I'll also link this up in the playlist. You can go see the gentleman, really nice guy, talk. He spends, I don't know if he's still doing it. I hope so. I should reach out to him. Maybe I will. Spends an inordinate amount of time for what he charges for these. We have micarta. I think it's Etowah Valley. Micarta pins. This is a very tough tool steel. What is the one? I forget. But it's like the toughest tool steel. This is the River Rat by him. And the retention on this, I don't know if he made this sheath. I should ask him. Maybe he said in the interview I did. But isn't it weird though also how there are so many channels and so few people interviewing makers? I haven't lately. It's been like a year. I've just been busy. I've been kind of displaced, and my life may be a little bit in shambles, but it's just odd to me. This thing, the retention on this is crazy good. but there's also a lot of mobility. So the mobility allows this to carry in ways this one just simply cannot. It carries kind of like hanging down off my belt a little bit. You could do a lot of different stuff with it, obviously. I'm just saying that because of the retention, this can move around quite a bit without me worrying about it. And we got this guy. Obviously, we have a, I forget what kind of thing that is. A tech lock. It's like the main one people use for guns. It's pretty secure simply because it's super tough to get these guys accidentally to come out. And then obviously you got this guy that rolls in there, and now it's not even possible. This is the Dot, I think, from the same makers of this. And it has this thing right there. A little bit easier to get off. That's why I have it. And then obviously, well, not obviously. So we've looked at the retention a little bit. Let's look at the knives. Oh no, there's rust on the D2. So first and foremost, that's probably from sap, by the way. Or maybe that's from food. I don't know what that's from now. But first and foremost, what are you going to be using it for? And the answer, I think, is probably a little bit of everything, right? Unless you're somebody that really has a life that is pretty posh. If you're carrying a knife around, you're probably going to be using it to cut things, to eat, maybe to defend yourself. I don't know. Probably all of this. I no longer believe in the idea that you have a knife, like one knife for defense, one knife for this, one for that. You're not a samurai. You don't have a million knives. I carry too many knives, and I usually carry either this or this, and then this as well. Obviously, this glows in the dark. I think it's cool because I guess I'm a little kid at some point. But so they need to be able to do certain tasks, right? And recently, I've been spending a little bit of time down by the river, literally, and so to speak. And there are these thorn trees that are native to my area that I like. And they're probably native to a lot of the Midwest. But they're technically, not technically, people consider them to be a weed because they grow fast. They're also obnoxious in that, you can't do what you want with them. They have these thorns that are crazy. But so this invasive vine species has been coming up and trying to grow over them. And I have been doing my best to cut all of the vines up I can find. Because I don't like the vines. None of the country people in the area where I'm at, none of us like the vines. The vines suck. They kill the trees. They don't bear any fruit, and they don't provide any shade. So at some point, we do what we got to do. Oh, Bradford Knives now is rocking some really nice burlap micarta handles. Unfortunately, they don't sell them as standalone right now. But in kind of processing these weird vines, I've kind of come to realize, like, this has a huge, huge advantage on this simply because it's smaller. At least in that specific test, probably in others I'm not even thinking of. And then maybe in batoning, this would have a leg up. I'm not really sure. Oh well. And then this guy, it's kind of like a happy medium, even though obviously it's way smaller. It's just that I really like this piece. I think Bradford Knives offers a lot. This bigger piece, although obviously a nice handle on it, as soon as you're torquing on it, you definitely feel how slim this is in your hand. And believe me, you'll come away from any long task using this where you're kind of having to maneuver it around or really put some lateral stress on it. You'll just be thinking like, why doesn't it have handles like this, or why, like this? And when this thing is jabbing in your love handle because you drink too much, you'll be thinking, why doesn't it carry like this or like this? I'm just trying to say there is a lot to be said for knives that are ubiquitous to many tasks. And I mean, some of that's going to be the steel. This is D2. I think to a high Rockwell. The guys at CountyComm seem to like that. This is 8160 or something like that. Probably to a high Rockwell. Nice high saber grind. This is meant to work. And this is similar. I mean, these are very similar pieces, but very, very different at the same time. And lately, this has been, I mean, yeah, I'll carry a smaller slip joint or something, and I almost always have knuckles on me now. And they just make a lot of sense. I don't know why. If they're legal or if you can get a permit, I don't know why you wouldn't. But yeah, it's really opening my eyes to, like, to more than just processing game. Let me say that. Because there's like a mini processing game kind of like pigeonholes. You're going to want that sweeping. That's why so many skinners have like that weird profile, that super sweeping, like that edge. It just goes on and on and on for miles. And then, there's guys, obviously, that'll use a knife to split the pelvic bone of a deer. Some people use a knife in, like, I don't know, a club or some kind of wooden instrument. It's just been interesting. It's been an interesting experience, to say the least. That this knife, because it's so small and agile, is much more capable in many tasks than this knife. And that this knife, because it retains so much better because of the sheath, I like it on a, if I'm out and about in the woods, a little bit more than this. But if I'm, in the city, or kind of depends on what I'm doing, I still really like this knife, and I carry it more than this one, to be honest. AEBL steel, very tough stuff. And maybe, I guess this is more of a philosophy of use video. Just in that, how is your gear coming together? What are you using it for? Why are you using it for, too? I always carry this, too, by the way. Yeah. Well, it's just, I should have taken some video. I didn't, because I'm not so content brained that I'm like out there like, I gotta get my tripod so I can hack away at this vine. So, dude, the vines get thick. The vines get bigger than this. And so for some of them, I'm literally like, no joke. And this is where this one really excels. I'm literally like taking up and like kind of choking back on it, and just like whack, 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 just like slowly winnowing away at the vines. Maybe that's a weird thing to do, the whole like picking and choosing horticultural wise of, I'm going to decide, I've decided as a policy that these vines got to go. When it comes to these certain trees, it's the honeysuckle locust, to be very specific. But it's been interesting to see this, so big ones, I got to use this. That's for sure. But everything else, I'm definitely hoping I have this on me. This is what I'm reaching for. This is a close second, obviously. But the biggest knife isn't always the best, and I feel like, especially with fixed blades, we're a little bit more likely to carry something gargantuan. And I'm pretty sure he's an Etowah Valley or, gosh, I don't know. But I have a Bowie from him as well, and it's very, very big. And, he said 20 hours making the Bowie, and I paid like $120 off of eBay. I should hit that guy up. That's a good idea. Note to self. I'll hit that guy up, see what he's doing. See what he's up to. But, LT Wright makes knives that are about this size. I don't know if they're quite as slim. This River Rat is very hard to beat for what it is. Oh, this is like bowling alley wax I have on it. And I'm very happy with this piece, by the way. The aggressive jimping, the swedging, everything. For $50, this is a grand slam. They're doing, so far they have a G10 that's all black, handle scale covers, Ultim. They're going to do a micarta. I'm not going to collect. I won't lie. I'm not going to collect them. It's just that I feel like I got what I wanted. That's it. But yeah, so just something to think about as you're doing your thing out in the woods or maybe around town. But even if you live in town somewhere, I would definitely make an effort to get out in the woods and, do something with your eyes. It's not so much a use your shit type of super weird and lame call to action. It's more of a familiarization. And I get that, because like I said, so many guys, their big use of a knife is game, which is more power to you. That's awesome. But field dressing game, it's such a certain set, right? And even then you're gonna be very careful. You're not gonna want to, chip or roll something on a bone or whatever. It's another thing I feel like to get out there, and I'm not necessarily saying go use it as a baton. The whole batoning thing, I just don't. I understand it to a degree, but it's like, Anyway, that's about all I'll share out for this one. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Hope you folks have a good rest of your day. Bye now.